printing of your documents out of relativity and some of the options you have, as well as working with related items. There's a related items panel that I want to explore a little bit more in detail. And then as time permits, I want to go back into the Q&A section to deal with some of the questions and some of the answers to those questions that have arisen during the course of our study. So let's take a look at, I think, printing and creating PDF versions of the documents first. So the essential thing that comes up when you have reviewed your documents and you're ready for production is to get the printouts for the attorneys to review, creating PDFs that may be used to submit production documents to the other side, depending on the early conference and how you have agreed to produce the documentation for the other side and so on. So this is what this session in part deals with. So let's pretend your attorneys have asked you to print some documents so they can prepare for a deposition, for example. They need you to customize the documents as well. They want you to include redactions from the opposing counsel markup set. They want you to create slip sheets, stamp the document identifier in the bottom left corner of the document. They want you to include coding choices made on the second pass review layout. So the procedure to follow is to create the necessary PDF files of these documents and then print out these PDF documents. When we're logged in, as we are now, we open up one of the documents that the attorney may have requested. And notice, importantly, that we are in image mode, not in the viewer or native or enhanced text mode. So up here, you see where the arrow points to image. So when you're viewing a document and you're wanting to create a PDF and print it with redactions and so on, you need to be in this mode, in viewer mode of the in relativity. So make sure that radio button is checked there. We could print the document while we were in the viewer mode over here. Someone had asked me about that, and yes, we could. But this is just a quick way to get a printout of the document. It doesn't permit the kind of request that has been made of us by the attorneys. We can't include redactions, highlights, etc. of a document in viewer mode, nor could we provide this type of printout in native or extracted text mode. The only mode in which we can really produce the documents with the redactions and so on is in this image mode. So although we could check there and then print the document out, it wouldn't have all the necessary components to it that our attorneys have asked us for in this particular scenario. So the first thing that we have to do is be sure the markup set we are looking for is the opposing counsel markup set. But if you notice down here in the screen, we're not in the opposing counsel markup set. We are in the government production set. So this toggle down here, this little arrow, allows us to change the markup sets that we're working with in our document collection. And we're going to click here. And then you can see that the other markup set shows up here, opposing counsel. If we had other markup sets that were designed by our case manager for us to use, then they would be showing up here as well. The markup sets are created by the case administrator. As a reviewer, before you mark up a document, be sure you have selected the proper markup set from this window. And we can see the next slide for information about using markup sets. So you're a relativity administrator and you're facilitating a document review project for a client, maybe a healthcare provider that has recently become involved in litigation related to inadequate protection of private patient information. This means that some of your reviewers have to redact imaged documents to prepare them for eventual production and submission to the judge. This requires the reviewers to redact sensitive patient information, and you want the produced document to clearly display that the redacted text is privileged to the patient. So to expedite this process, you provide your reviewers with a markup set that they can use when loading a document in the viewer. You give this markup set a name of patient privacy and an order of 10. For the redaction text field, you enter patient privileged. So once you save the markup set, reviewers then can select it and apply it to documents wherever they encounter private patient information. When they select the markup set and apply a text box redaction, they have the option of selecting the redaction text you've entered when you created the set. That text then becomes the default for all subsequent text box redactions. So for administrators who create markup sets, there is a link that I provided on this slide, and you can download this exact PowerPoint that I'm providing to you. And if you're an administrator of a case, which we don't have time for in this particular 6-session to go into, I did provide you with a link here that will take you out to a little bit more about creating markup sets. So you can click on that link there. So in the scenario that we're continuing to follow, the markup set we're looking for is opposing counsel, because that's what the attorneys have asked for. But we're in that government production set, so we're going to click here and then choose the opposing counsel option. And you notice now that we have changed to the opposing counsel set that different markups appear on the same document. So the same document, when you're in image mode, will appear differently with the different markups on it, depending on which of the markup sets you're using. So now we're ready to go ahead and print. We'll notice that the arrow is pointing to the PDF icon up here, and that's what we want to do. We want to go up here to this toolbar, and we want to click on this PDF icon that points to a printer, and click there. And then we get this pop-up menu that we need to look at. We can choose the page range and the image options to save a PDF of this document. Notice we can say image selection, all the images of this particular document, or just the current image, in other words, that page that we were looking at. Or if we didn't want to print out all the pages imaged of this document, we can pick on the image range and type in a with commas and dashes and so on, a sequence. And down here we have the image options. We'll take a look at these. Make text searchable, include highlights, include redactions. We can have normal redactions or transparent. We can include a slip sheet, which our attorneys do want us to do, and so on. So let's go on to the next screen. And according to the requirements of our attorneys in this particular printout section, they want us to make the text searchable. So we do want the PDF files that we create to have searchable text. So we can click on that icon there. And then also, once you make text searchable, so the attorneys could be searching through these PDF files for relevant information as they prepare for their deposition, we need to also choose the kind of OCR, optical character recognition, that we want to apply to the imaged text in this document. The standard OCR is normally what you're going to choose. There could be other OCR options depending upon the kind of documents you're working with, but almost 90%, 99% of the time you're going to pick standard OCR as the text searchable format option. So we'll pick that. Our documents in this case, we're pretending, do not include highlights. If they did, you could click on that checkbox so the attorneys could see the highlights in this production, the printouts and so on. But if you do not have highlights in this production set, then you don't want to click that checkbox. But if you have a checkbox there, I would take it off. It just slows down the production process. Now, the text underneath a normal redaction will not be searchable, while text underneath a transparent redaction will be searchable. Excuse me for coughing there. So this checkbox here is important because we do want to include the redactions, but if we have it as normal here, then when the attorney goes searching through the PDF files and there's anything in that redacted area, they won't find that particular area of the document. So since they do want this for preparation of a deposition, we probably do want to include redactions that are transparent. So we're going to click include redactions, and we can include the transparent option. Also, they want to include the slip sheets. They want slip sheets involved, so we're going to not have blank one, but I want to put some information onto the slip sheet that occurs in front of this particular document. When we click on this pull-down menu here, we're going to see the information that we can put on that slip sheet occur. We can have a blank one, or just the identifier, the unique ID of that particular document will show up on the slip sheet. We could have all the first pass review, all the second pass review information, issue coding, and the document metadata. So any of these options for that slip sheet could be chosen. So if we wish to include the coding information on the slip sheet, these then are the options for us. And we'll go ahead and pick some of these and see what takes place. Since the attorney have requested to have printouts that will help them with deposition preparation, we do not want possibly the transparent redactions, but normal ones. We have to talk to our attorneys about this. Earlier I said, well, they may be wanting to search and through the PDF files, but then on the other hand, they said that they wanted printouts that would help them with deposition preparation. So there's a little bit of vagueness there as to what they want. We go back to the attorneys and say, now, are you going to be searching through these for information, including information that is in the redacted areas, or did you not want to be searching for that information and just want to have printouts that include what the other side is going to see, and so on and so forth. So again, a discussion needs to take place when you're asked to create the PDFs and produce the printed documents. So we'll assume we've talked to them. We're not going to include the redaction transparencies, so that we we won't have that information for searching. Now we also, on the slip sheet, we'll get back to that, we want to include the second pass review information that we have. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and then notice the click the stamp identifier drop-down menu, the stamp identifier. What is that all about? Well, we'll click here and take a look at that. We want to select the document identifier. We want that included. We could have the image number, or we could have the field number, or just free text, whatever we want to type on the slip sheet. We can choose one of these. We'll click the document identifier here, and then where do we want to? They wanted to have the information about that on the document printouts. the stamp location, the drop-down menu shows up, and we want to put it on the lower bottom left is what we want. So we click here, and then this option comes up, and we can pick the bottom left, and that's where the document identifier will show up when the PDFs are created and we create our printouts. And so now we have this configured the way we want. We study over this, make sure we have it all set up the way the attorneys in our consultation with them have asked us to do. So we're going to do a print and save as PDF here. Now this will come up, the progress screen, it'll appear, and once it is completed, the PDF file that we were creating in this particular one document, I'm just doing one document here, will automatically open for us. So we're going to pretend that this is finished. And one document, it's going to be just a short, maybe 30 seconds, depending on how many pages are in the image document, but it won't take too long. And then the PDF file will actually open automatically for you. And so here is the slip sheet that comes up, the first page of our printout in our PDF file, and it tells us that this is the first of 3 pages. You can see that up here on the screen. And you notice it has, as we requested, the second pass review information. This is your second pass review information, and it has been incorporated on the slip sheet per the attorney's request. So they have all this information that's responsive. The control numbers there. The issue designations were accounting, electricity, trades, natural gas, and trades. And any attorney review comments that were made when the attorneys reviewed this particular document, they will be incorporated on the slip sheet as well. Now notice the redactions, we'll go to the second page of this PDF, are also included here on page 2. So we can see the redaction showing up. And we also notice the control number, the ID number of that particular document is showing up in the upper left-hand corner of every page of that PDF file, and that will print out for us as well. We can now go ahead and print out or save the PDF using one of these options up here. So this is your save icon, little arrow pointing down, and then this is your print option that shows up once the PDF file is showing up on your screen. Now we're going to switch over. That was how you go about doing one particular document, but most of the time you're going to have a request to do quite a few documents, and you don't want to go through it one at a time. So this is the procedure for what is called mass printing PDF documents and creating PDF documents. So let us say that we want all the same slip sheet information that we had before, but now they want to have all the documents issue coded as accounting to be printed. So now instead of just one document, they want all the documents that were issue coded as accounting, and they want all of those to be printed with the slip sheets. So here we have done a little search using our field, and we have come up with all those that are accounting, issue coded as accounting. If you forgot how to do the searching through the documents, you can go back to the other PowerPoint that we had to do this. But we've used that feature, and we've come up with all the documents that are coded as accounting at this point that they want to be printed. And so what I did was I opened a saved search, and we went through that before, that lists all of the requested documents. I opened that saved search and executed it, and so we now have these documents in our list. And now what we want to do is come down to a drop-down menu down below, And you can see down here, we want to click on this, click this drop-down menu at the bottom. And we want to say add all 90. Since there were 90 documents, you can see that up here. Let me go ahead and use the magnified tool and see up here at the top that we have 90 in this set. And then down here, we're going to say we want to select all 90 because they all do match our filter. All of these are accounting. You can see the issue designation includes all those designated in this particular manner. So we're going to select all 90. And now we want to go over here and click the down arrow where it says edited. Zoom in on that a little bit. So we click the edit option here. And now we want to pick the print save as PDF option. So that's what we want to do. We don't want to image these documents or any of that right now. We want to go print save as PDF. So here's where that print PDF option will show up when you're doing mass printouts. So once we click there, we get these options when we're doing the mass printouts and PDFs. We have the first option, save as individual PDFs in a zip file. We can pick save as single PDFs. We can pick save as PDF portfolio, where all the documents would be put into a particular folder structure called a portfolio. So over here, you can see we could click this radio button, save as single PDFs, or we can do as PDF portfolio. So these are the options we have here in this section of our menu, pop-up menu. Note that the order in which the PDFs will appear also depends on the order they appear in the listing of the documents. So that the order is here, and this is the order that they will show up. If you didn't want this order, you wanted a different order, normally you'd want this order, but if you did want a different order, you'd have to sort these in a different manner. And you'd have to go back to our sort tutorial as to how to go about sorting them differently. But my point is that however you have them sorted here, that's the order in which the PDFs will appear and will be created. The name of the PDF files can be determined here. The default uses a unique document ID number, but you can pick a field for the name of the files as well. Down here is where the naming option is. So default's going to use the unique document ID created for each of these documents. If you pick field, then there are different fields that will be chosen as the names of the documents that are being created as PDF files, actual file names. So we need to include the original redactions. So we select original images for the source of our PDF files. Not native, not produced documents, but original images. Now again, if you wanted to print out these documents that we have that are all in the accounting search that we did in native file format, you could do that, but then they wouldn't have the redactions and so on. So we want to do this according to our scenario as the original images that we created and that were redacted and so on. So we picked this radio button here. And now that we have chosen that, we have some other options to deal with. The options appear as we've seen before when creating the PDF for the single document. We'll make the same choices as before. So these were the same options we saw earlier when we were doing the individual documents. We're going to pick all the same options here for this mass production. We're going to include a slip sheet. We're going to include redactions. We won't include highlights because we know we don't have any, but if you did, you can include them. and we do want to make the text searchable, so we'd be checking that option, and then standard OCR would show up over here. This pop-up menu comes up here for us, including the timesheet, the markup set. Remember, we wanted opposing counsel, so we made sure we choose that here. Earlier, the markup set would have appeared down at the bottom of the screen, but when you're doing mass reductions, you have to pick it from here instead of the general government one. We pick it here. And then including the slip sheet, second pass review, remember we picked that earlier. The stamp identifier, document identifier is going to be showing up in the bottom left. And so if you click here, it will show you if you have selected documents that have no markups on them, because they will not be included in the PDFs you create. So this check documents is important, because when you were doing one document, you could tell, okay, that one document had markups on them, and they had actually been reviewed. But you might now, in this filter you've created using a search for accounting documents or coded for accounting, you might have a document that has not actually been reviewed and doesn't have any markups on it. So you might want to check when you do mass production like this of PDFs, you might want to click on this icon. And so we'll click on that and see what comes up. Once we click there, we'll notice here, because one of the documents does not have an image at all, just as native format, and the attorneys need all of these in PDF format, and they need them printed. So we have to go ahead and image this document. So here it said there's one document that does not match the options, and this is the name of that document, AZipper 0011324. So it tells you if you continue, this document will not become a PDF. Check your document for production or images, or choose another option. So what we don't want to do is do save as PDF here. We want to cancel, and then we want to go and find that document and create an image out of it, so that, and then review it so that it can be included in this mass production. Now, after you've gone back and imaged that document, and we went through that in a previous PowerPoint, how you image the native files. But once we do that, we then can run the document check again, double check it, and you'll see now that your documents will be saved as PDFs, and your check says that there aren't any that haven't been imaged, so you can go ahead and click on Save as PDF. And then the procedure, again, will be to watch this little circle turn around. When you're doing mass production of PDFs and printings, it's going to take a lot longer. It could take 30 minutes, depending on how many documents, how large they are, and so on. So you might have to wait here a little bit. The one thing that you don't want to do is cancel this. It says here, closing or refreshing this window will not cancel this operation. You will still receive an email with a link to your documents. But to cancel the operation, you pick cancel. So you could actually close this by clicking here, but my recommendation is you not do that, but just wait. Maybe take a phone call or do something like that, and while you're waiting for the mass production to take place. There are a couple of reasons for that. One of them is you could have a glitch in the process and not see it, and come back and see that you've got something to deal with here. So I would just wait. Once it is finished, it will come up with this screen, save as PDF, 90 documents, and then the file is ready for a download. Remember, the option that was chosen here was to put all of the PDFs in a zip file. And so